Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in Prop Store in Los Angeles, and well, clearly I have some alien props in front of me and Brandon Ellinger to my right. Brandon, these are some screen-used alien pieces in front of us.
Yeah, so we had a great collection of alien stuff that came in for our upcoming auction, and these are a couple of the pieces that were part of that set. This is a Hero Frost helmet from Aliens, and this is his main helmet that he wears in maybe in all the movies, certainly in 90% of the movie. Almost any picture you ever see of Frost, or if you watch the film, you'll see this exact helmet, and it's very easy to pick it out because it has this camo cover on it with the unique pattern, so you always see these distinct marks in the front of it.
And the eyepiece, I've been always wondering about how that eyepiece works.
Yeah, you want to take a look? It's pretty cool.
Really, it's just sitting in two tracks. The inside of this helmet is a fiberglass liner, and the liner's just been cut away to receive these two tracks. And this eyepiece actually turns on. It still turns on.
Yeah, how cool is that?
I know.
It still works.
When it reaches the bottom. I assume that little ball we saw inside is like some sort of catch that holds it up, perhaps?
Okay, would lock it in place.
Yeah. But amazing. I've always wanted to see the inside of that thing.
Yeah, this is a great one because it's main character and it's screen match. You know, we've handled a few other Aliens helmets, which are what we might call like mid-grade or B helmets, where they're probably generic just if they need another helmet. But most of the characters who wear a helmet, they don't all wear helmets. They pretty much have the same one on the whole film. And so this is Frost. This was actually in my collection about 15 years ago.
Oh, really?
Collectors tend to pass things around. This did live at my house at one point in time, not mine anymore, but it's very cool to see it again. I love Aliens, all that stuff that Terry English built. We got a couple of Terry English plates on the back here, right?
The back here, these
the lobster plates with the camo pattern.
I love that they're hammered out of aluminum.
And this one, I think, is missing its microphone. It would have a microphone piece that comes down through the ear guard here.
It doesn't look like it was, yes, it does look like it was
sit
meant
right,
to have it, but it's no longer there.
But other than that, it's pretty complete. It's got the original helmet camera, and on the inside, there's a label for Frost. So
it doesn't get more screen use than that. And this is Drake, yes?
Vasquez, actually.
Oh, okay.
Drake's slightly different. Drake's has a little piece of eyeball graffiti over the eyepiece that was painted on, and we could actually screen match this one because you can see right here, there's a little shape. It looks like the letter H.
Yeah.
And it's unpainted there. Presumably there was a greebly at some point in time. And you can see that on screen.
I really want to find out if I could figure out what that greebly is.
That would be cool. That would be cool. But I love you were commenting on the build of this and what they made this out of. I think you recognize some parts, right?
Well, so I just finished a motion tracker. And when you build a motion tracker, a whole bunch of parts come out of a flash unit. Some of the labels on the
like a camera
screen.
flash.
A camera flash, yeah. And I recognize this here as one of the pieces I removed from the flash to get at some other pieces for the motion tracker.
Oh, there you go.
So
I hope you didn't throw it away.
No. In fact, I did a piece to camera about how when you're doing found part props, even when you think you've got all the pieces, don't throw any of your cutoffs away because you'll end up looking at a reference picture and be like, oh, there's a little thing. Oh, it's in that. And you've thrown it away. So I don't throw anything away anymore. It's clear to me that the prop department of Aliens spent a lot of time using old camera gear for their propage. But it's delightful to have just removed that from a piece and find it here on Vasquez's eyepiece.
And you see that little blue color makes it very distinct, right?
Yeah. No, seriously, I have two of these sitting on my workbench right now.
That's awesome.
And that's the standard camera lens that's also on the
That's right, a little Pentax lens, yeah.
And this looks like an original microphone, but it's not. It's actually scratch built, and it's a really nice scratch build of the microphone.
Oh, that's brass. Cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah, huge amount of work in all the props from Aliens. You know, whenever we've had something. Remember, we looked at the welder a little while ago. Huge amount of work in that thing. All the brass work that they did on it.
And resilient. Like it clearly came down from the top that like you got to make this stuff able to handle lots of abuse because the actors weren't being careful, nor should they have been. And everything sort of wears that mark of the heavy weathering. You've got a couple of amazing pieces back here too. Is this one of the smart guns?
Yeah, that is one. That's the only one that's known to still exist. That came out of Bapty in the UK, which is the famous armory that also provided all the guns for Star Wars and things like that. So this was a real firearm. I think it's an MG42 that fired blanks. Of course, it's been deactivated since. That they customized and dressed to turn it into the smart gun. And of course, the famous guy with the smart guns, they put it on the Steadicam rig, right?
Yes.
So that the guys could wear it.
Him and Frost.
So cool. So cool and clever, you know. I don't know where the Steadicam rig is, but this is one of the original guns, and Some of the dressing parts are original, such as the flash suppressor. That was a custom-made thing. That's original to it.
Gorgeous.
Other pieces like these bits here, which are off of, I think, a Kawasaki motorcycle.
Yeah.
Those are recreations. They've been put back on it. So once it went back to BAFTA, they kind of stripped it apart, as they do with many things. But I like this little detail here because that's original.
What does it say?
So in the movie, one of their smart guns says adios, and the other says my bitch. And that, I don't know if you have to bleep that. That seems to be a hybrid of both. If you really stare at it, you can kind of see that like that's a D,
Oh, wow,
and then
yeah,
an
yeah.
I, and then an O and an S. So probably they were using them interchangeably. They'd slap a little paint on it, put new lettering, and change it around. But the fact that both of them are still hidden under there is pretty neat.
In the Aliens prop collecting, when this first came out, a lot of my film student friends were shocked that they had used like Steadicam rigs for the props because those were back
They're
then
supposed to be behind the
those
scenes,
were
right?
tens
Yeah.
of thousands of dollars, even for an old used
Right.
Steadicam.
Yeah.
And now those Steadicams have gotten inexpensive enough that I see them traded occasionally on
Oh,
the Replica
really?
Props forum for just a few $1,000s.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
like back when this movie came out, a used one of those was still like
Right.
60 or 70
a big
grand.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And is this a real set of armor?
Yeah, that's a real Terry English set. I love Aliens again. I love all things Terry English. And about 25 years ago, I used to go and stare at this in Planet Hollywood, Washington, D.C., because it was on display there, this exact set.
You have been staring at this specific set for 25 years.
There's a picture of a much younger me standing in front of this set.
If we could have that, I would love to cut that into
I
our
cannot give you
video.
that picture.
Fair
That is just
enough.
for me. That is just for me. But the cool thing about this one, it's funny because at the time, there wasn't as much knowledge. People thought maybe it was a Terry English replica.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of reasons they thought that the foam on the interior looked a little different, but it turned out it's an original film-used costume, and it was used specifically for the burn scene. So Frost kind of meets his end when he catches on fire, and they basically put this armor on a mannequin, lit it on fire practically, and threw it down a stairwell. And that's what this was used for. So there's some pretty heavy damage on it in a few places, which you can imagine.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
That's probably it. It took a real puncture falling down on something.
Seriously.
And then over here on the shoulders, you've got this chemical, which is to do with the burn effect. And there's a
Well,
lot of it on the back also.
That would be rubber cement. That's a way
Oh,
to
really?
make sure that fire stays exactly where you want it and it burns slowly and not too hot.
Oh, okay.
As you can see, it didn't discolor the paint underneath it too much.
Oh, okay.
I set Jamie on fire once and we used rubber cement.
See, if we had talked to you before we did the catalog, that would be in our catalog. So that's good information. Rubber cement is maybe what we're seeing there.
That's a
it looks like
classic
rubber
pyro
cement now that you're
technique.
saying it. Yeah.
It looks amazing. I just bought a set.
Okay.
I just purchased a set of Terry English replica armor.
Yeah.
But now, of course, I now have the eyes, right? Once you've owned something and you've really stared at it for a while, you can kind of spot the differences and the tells, and this is just magnificent.
The weathering, the aging on these, the way the aluminum wears, it's all so wonderful, And I've seen some of the replica sets. Obviously, they're wonderful. Also, there's just a slight sort of character difference to them and the genuine ones,
Well, I was also surprised at how comfortable it is to wear.
Right.
Like, it's so lightweight. And these actors, every one of these actors spent weeks and weeks and weeks wearing this stuff. So, of course, it should be comfortable.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, like, the Frost? The Frost helmet.
Yep.
So this is the helmet for this costume.
It is. Yeah. I don't know that he ever wore them together.
Oh, because this might have just been a stud
Right.
set.
This is not the main body armor. It is the main helmet, if that makes sense. But it is all the same character. So they're two separate lots in the auction, but theoretically someone could reunite them and have a full Frost.
So, when I'm building databases to find stuff, if I was super obsessed, I would start collecting every picture of breastplate armor I had and start to actually pattern match between the screen and you must have something kind of like that.
We've done a little bit of that. Yeah. And actually, the Aliens armors are really good for it because the camo is extremely distinct.
Yeah.
So just like what I was saying about the camo cover on the helmet, you can pick stuff out pretty easily. And there is a behind-the-scenes picture which I could show you. We could run that on the video, where you see the mannequin, and it's in like just a production office, but it's all dressed up, and you can screen match this set. And they've got the mannequin there, and he's holding a big cigar, which is obviously a joke about the fire gag that he's about to get burned. So some Aliens fan came up with that picture, and it was like, oh, I think it's this set. And so then it's elevated to photo match status because you can't screen match it. Because in the film, it's so blurry and it's on fire, and you can't see enough to really tell. But there's no question that's what it is, and it was used for that shot.
All four of these pieces are pretty amazing amalgamation of original Alien hardware back in one place together.
Definitely. I mean, there was a collector who was focused on aliens specifically. He's decided it's time to let some things go, and that's why multiple great aliens items have come to the surface at one time. Normally, we're happy to get anything from aliens, but so yeah, it's a pretty serious spread, you know.
It is a testament to the franchise that so much information about it has survived, and there's still so much love for this amazing film.
Yeah. It's you know, much like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters, it's just the fan culture loves that title, you know. And it's interesting because it's probably one of the few that hasn't had a real shot in the arm by like modern content. I mean, obviously there's Prometheus, there's Covenant, whatever, but they're not really aliens. They're pretty different.
Those are all in the genre of the same original film. They're all more like horror films.
Right.
But Aliens is a cowboy movie.
Right. It's never really been redone in any way. So it's kind of interesting, you know?
James Cameron, I know you're busy with Avatar, but maybe we could have another Aliens.
That would be good. The further adventures of the Colonial Marines.
So you must have worn this back when you were.
Can't remember.
Maybe there's some of your DNA there.
Yeah.
Brandon, thank you so much. What an amazing collection of Aliens hardware.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Dude.